Hey there, I'm Patrick Franco. We're going to look at Chaturanga Dandasana, which is a pose that is primarily a strength building pose. It's also a transitionary pose between plank and upward facing dog that you'll see very much in a vinyasa yoga class or even in just simple sun salutations, Surya Namaskar. This pose is translated as four-limbed pose. And that means that the arms and the legs are really working in this pose to maintain its stability and to build that strength that is required to do this pose. Very specifically, it stretches the calves, the legs, the soles of the feet, and the wrists. So not a big stretchy pose, but it does strengthen the legs, the abdominal muscles, the spinal muscles, the back, the shoulders, the arms, the deltoids. So much of the body is being strengthened while practicing Chaturanga Dandasana. So let's go ahead and take a look at this pose. And typically we start by coming into plank pose. So we're going to come into plank pose now. We know plank pose to be the hands under the shoulders, palms spread, and then the legs stepping back, hip distance wide. So the chest is pulling forward, my legs extending back, my inner thighs lifting. All of this that we do in plank pose continues in Chaturanga Dandasana. The difference is I start to bend my elbows until they're about 90 degrees. And when I do that, as I transition from straight arms to bent arms, I need to shift my chest forward and then bend my elbows straight back, drawing the shoulder blades down the back so my collarbones can spread. And then I'll come back up. This is a pose that we don't stay in very long. It's really this transition from plank, lowering down halfway to Chaturanga Dandasana before moving into Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, which is upward facing dog. So let's look at it again. The idea is 90 degrees, but there is a lot of wear and tear on the rotator cuff if you're doing a practice that uses Chaturanga Dandasana very frequently. So even though we say 90 degrees, it's more important that you don't go any further. So if that means that you actually don't lower it right to that 90-degree angle to preserve your rotator cuffs, that's okay too. So let's just look at it one more time, and then we'll talk about some common mistakes and some ways to avoid them. So plank pose, the legs fully engaged, meaning the heels stretching back, the quadriceps, the kneecaps engaged, the inner thighs lifting, the abdomen lifting, the chest pulling forward. The key is shifting the weight forward towards the crown of the head. So shifting the weight forward, bending the elbows straight back, and drawing the shoulder blades away from the ears. My abdomen still lifting, my legs working, my chest forward. So that's Chaturanga Dandasana. Now, the same issues that come up in Chaturanga show up in plank pose. And usually it's a weakness in either the upper body or the abdominal muscles. And when that happens, the spine collapses. And when the spine collapses, there's undue weight bearing in the low back. And over time, this could cause an injury for students or cause at least low back pain. So this might show up as plank, and the teacher instructs to lower, so the student starts to lower, and then their low back, because their abdominal muscles are not strong enough yet, and they kind of just collapse their way down. So if this is happening for you as a student, one way that we can work on our strength and our abdominal muscles and our upper back muscles in the interim is to simply tap the knees down. So before we lower, we shift forward, we tap the knees down, and then we do the rest of the pose from the waist upwards the same. Chest forward, elbows bend straight back, collarbones spread, abdomen lifting. So this is a great approach for plank pose and Chaturanga if you're still working on your abdominal strength, and your upper body strength. Another thing we need to avoid, I already alluded to, is this shoulder, upper arm bone into the rotator cuff numerous times. And that's why it's important when we lower down, the chest is pulling forward. So this might show up as a dipping down of the chest, and we want to avoid this. So shifting forward helps before lowering, but then also if you're weak in your upper back and arms, you start to nosedive. And that nosediving down is putting your rotator cuff in a compromised position, and we want to avoid that. So it's best, if that's happening, to practice this shape with the knees down so you can maintain the length of your chest and the engagement of your abdominal muscles. All right, so that's Chaturanga Dandasana, four-limbed pose, primarily a strength building pose that you're going to use between plank and up dog. The whole body needs to be working, focused with precision, but it's a great pose that you're going to see in your practice for a long time. All right, we'll see you on the mat next time.